Alright, so if you've been watching our basic How to Aikido series, you understand now the basic kind of distancing we're trying to work with in Aikido, that the goal in Aikido is never to get the other person, just to put them in a very difficult position to get me, and that it's possible if that distance breaks down. And what are we going to do when that distance breaks down? Now, the second the distance breaks down, I want to vary the line. We call that Tai no Hinko, a position change. And I also want to get some kind of suppression. Suppression is keeping his hands from being able to really easily get to me. So if Josh was coming in to shove me, I want to get some kind of suppression on his arms. Now, if I'm real strong, then maybe I could shove him away with this. That would be great, but that's not the main goal of this. The main goal of this is to get his arm under some kind of control. When you're trying to suppress the arm, the best place to be is right around the elbow. So if I'm at the hand, his hand moves too fast, and it's hard for me to keep track of. If I'm at his shoulder moves very slow, but it's easy for him to move his arm around. He's got a lot of mobility to move his arm around. If I hold him at the elbow, his elbow moves slow enough that I can usually track it, and I can control almost all the motion of the arm, so it's very hard for him to grab me or do anything to me, cut me. So elbow control is what we ideally want. In Aikido, we call this Ikkyo. Ikkyo is the first principal lesson of Aikido. Now, Ikkyo is not arm barring someone. So a lot of people think Ikkyo is some kind of pushing of the elbow to break it or something like that. Has nothing to do with Ikkyo. Ikkyo is simply elbow control. Now, the greatest Ikkyo I can have would me being on the underside of the Ikkyo, and that gives me a lot of control over his body, and is a really good technique because it resets the distance. Meaning, once I'm under here and he's unbalanced, I can shove him off of me and I reset the distance. Remember, in Aikido, all I want to do is be at that conversational distance. That's always what I'm trying to do. So if Ikkyo can shove him away, that's ideal. Beyond that, even if I can't shove him away with the Ikkyo, I want to be able to control his arm, ideally at the elbow, so he can't grab me easily, he can't stab me, hit me, cut me, anything like that. Now, this Ikkyo might lead us into lots of other stuff. For example, if we were here and I needed to disarm him, I could come underneath to get the Nikkyo. I could also disarm him with a Sankyo. If I'm having trouble with my Ikkyo, I can use a Yankyo to make him want to bring his elbow back up. If his arm completely collapsed in, I can set up a Gokyo with that. If from here his arm shot straight and I'm having trouble with it, I can set up a variety of Rokyos in there, right? So these Aikido techniques come not because I want to twist his wrist or I want to shove him somewhere. They happen because he's broken down the distance. I couldn't keep the distance I want. And now that we're in here, I'm presented with a dangerous situation. And I need to control and suppress his arm in some kind of way so he can't grab me, or if he had a weapon, cut me or hurt me with the weapon. So this Ikkyo is our basic line of connection to him when we're in distance. Now, I would always like to get out to distance. So if I could move him away or move myself, for example with Ikkyo Ura, I could move myself around to the back side of him, that would be ideal for me and what I would really like to do. So understand the Aikido techniques are not coming up because that's the way I'm going to get him. I don't want to get him. That's not my goal. Why they're coming up is because he's provided a situation that's so difficult for me to answer that I need to use these techniques. All of the Aikido techniques work in exactly this way, and they work on putting me in a good position and him in a bad position very consistently. So this is the rough idea of why these techniques would arise in Aikido. Next, we're going to talk about the Kyo Waza versus the Nage Waza.